7 deadly sins: gluttony, greed, pride, sloth, wrath, lust, and envy.
Dex! You wanna come take a look at this?
Honestly, have you ever seen anything like this? No.
You know the old saying, they don't make them like they used to? I would hear that from my parents and other adults all the time growing up, and I always rolled my eyes. But hindsight being 2020, they were right. So in the spirit of nostalgia, I'm starting a series featuring my favorite movies of each decade, and I'm kicking it off in the 1990s, specifically with 1995's Seven, directed by the great David Fincher.
This guy's methodical, exacting, and worst of all, patient.
Like what you do for a living? These things you see?
He's 2 murders away from completing his masterpiece.
Let's finish it.
Thank you for stopping by the channel. My name is David, and you might be wondering, why does this guy think his opinion matters? Well, I don't really. It's just my opinion on what I think these great movies are. But if you're stopping by because you're trying to find a movie that is worth your time that you haven't seen yet, that's why I decided to make this channel. I used to be a movie critic in Chicago for a short time on a local television show, but before that, I actually worked as a television producer for the show At the Movies. So I worked with people like Gene Siskel for a very short time with Gene Siskel, but I worked for over a decade with Roger Ebert. He literally was one of my heroes and my mentors. Also worked with people like Richard Roeper and other celebrities and movie critics that would come on the show from time to time. So I do have a little bit of background, and I certainly feel as though I was educated by the best in the business. Now, to say that Seven is dark and violent and twisted is an understatement. It is ultra dark and ultra violent and ultra twisted, but it is also a masterpiece that was mostly overlooked by the Academy Awards, receiving only 1 nomination for Best Editing. While the movie was filmed in Los Angeles, it takes place in an unnamed city where it is always dreary and it is always raining.
I want you to look and I want you to listen, okay?
Now, I wasn't standing around guarding the Taco Bell. I've worked homicide 5 years.
Not here.
I understand that.
Well, over the next 7 days, detective, you'll do me the favor of remembering that.
That rain-soaked city really sets the mood for the entire film. Seven follows 2 homicide detectives, a man early in his career played by Brad Pitt, and his new partner who is on his way to retirement played by Morgan Freeman. This unlikely team is tasked with catching a serial killer who seems to be following a pattern.
Imagine the will it takes to keep a man bound for a full year, to sever his hand and use it to plant fingerprints, to insert tubes into his genitals. This guy's methodical, exacting, and worst of all, patient.
He's a nutbag. And just because the fucker's got a library card doesn't make him Yoda.
That's right, the psychopath they're looking for is claiming his victims based on the 7 deadly sins: pride, greed, lust, sloth, gluttony, wrath, and envy. He is essentially serving as the judge, jury, and executioner of these people. And while the film is bleak, there is one shining light. Pitt's on-camera wife and off-camera girlfriend at the time, played by Gwyneth Paltrow. She's trying to adjust to the city that she and her husband now call home.
How you liking it?
You know, takes time, settle in. Be good.
Well, you get numb after a while. There are things to any city.
Subway.
It'll go away in a minute.
The murderer, known only as John Doe, engages in a cat and mouse game that almost leads to disaster when the detectives come knocking on his door.
Bills.
Now, I know this movie is 30 years old, but I'm not going to spoil the identity of John Doe. And I would encourage you to stay away from it. Stay away from spoilers. This is one of those movies that you want to see it with a completely open mind, having no idea what is about to happen. Just see the movie and you'll know why this is one of the most iconic lines in movie history, in my opinion.
What's in the box?
Not till you give me
What's in the fucking box?
Now, this for me was a movie where I really thought, hey, Brad Pitt is more than just a movie star. He's actually a great actor. He obviously would also do 12 Monkeys. He would do Fight Club, all very gritty. But this is the movie for me that sort of set him apart and made me think he is an actor. Like I said, this movie is really dark, but it's not necessarily a horror film, although you're going to see some really, really weird stuff in this movie and things you probably would like to unsee. But I really see this as more in line with something like Silence of the Lambs. There is a grit, there is a realness to this that really brings you into the story. So if you're willing to take the journey, you'll be treated to a great script, moody and disturbing visuals, edgy performances, and a great soundtrack by none other than Trent Reznor. 7. One of the best movies of the 1990s. It's available to stream right now on Prime Video and Apple TV. You'll also catch it on cable occasionally, although it's going to be the clean version, so kind of takes away some of the grit and some of the goodness of the movie. But you should absolutely see it. It is definitely worth your time. Thank you guys for stopping by, and if you like this kind of content, make sure you hit like and subscribe. I really appreciate it. We'll see you next time.